Welcome everybody to the Tile Roofing Industry Alliance short course on foam adhesive installation. My name is John Jensen. I'm a roofing contractor from the Northwest, but also I manage the Tile Roofing Industry Alliance training program. Also here today with us is Lisa Jensen. She's going to be monitoring so that you can find the question feature on your computer, and you'll be able to introduce a question by typing it in. We'll also have an opportunity at the end of the presentation for there to be questions presented verbally to our presenter today, which is Adrian Robledo. He is the Director of Steep Slope Roofing Products Sales for ICP Adhesives. So a little bit about the Tile Roofing Industry Alliance. Our website can be found at tileroofing.org, and we are a manufacturers organization. So primarily driven by the clay and concrete roof tile manufacturers in the country. We are also an alliance where we have component manufacturers, accessory manufacturers, roofing contractors, roof consultants, and other roof professionals in the tile roofing industry that support and help make the resources we provide really fully well-rounded for such a small segment of the industry. If you want to find a contractor, manufacturer, supplier, or consultant or professional that you need to contact, you can do that through our search on the website. And if you want to be on that search, the way to get there is by taking one of our manual certification classes. We have two separate classes. One of them is for the regular manual, which covers 49 states. And that manual, we have a 4-hour seminar. You can go ahead, Adrian. We have about a 4-hour class, and that manual covers, as I said, 49 states. The other manual, maybe more relevant to today's presentation, is the Florida High Wind Manual. We have a brand new manual this year, everything permitted, as I understand it, after December 31st. We'll be utilizing the new 6th edition. Adrian will probably touch on that a little bit today. And those two classes, if you take the class and pass the test, that will get you placed on the search for a contractor or a professional in your category. We also have these short courses like you're here experiencing today, and you can find those, the schedule at tileroofing.org and go to training and look at the training schedule. And you can see right now, we have a manual certification for both the regular manual coming up on the 10th and also a Florida High Wind training on the 18th for a manual certification. In addition, we have Jerry Vandewater from Crown Roof Tiles and a roof consultant out of California. He's going to be doing another short course like today's on analyzing wood frame roofs. We've got a really good group of people here with us today from across the country. We have 3 of our manufacturers are on the line, Eagle, Boral, and Crown, and they range from sales reps to technical services into management. We've got some component and accessory product manufacturers, APOC and Iron Ridge, making or representing companies that manufacture underlayments and solar attachment systems. We have a number of roofing contractors, including one of the largest, Adler Roofing out of Florida, and our friends in Houston, Brian Hash, from RB Hash and Associates. I've been to a couple of Brian's jobs. He is just a fantastic contractor, and one of the jobs was a concrete roof deck, brand new construction, single family, but a very large home down in Hurricane Alley in Baytown, Texas, where a underlayment was applied using a primer and then foam adhesive. So no fasteners, no mechanical fasteners on the entire roof right in Hurricane Alley. And also another large project in downtown Houston, a hospital, high-rise hospital that was installed with MCA tile. So we've got a civil engineering student from Cal Berkeley, and then we've got a number of engineers already engaged in the dynamic and exciting work of wind uplift, Forge and Donan and a number of others. We've got some adjusters and claims managers, a solar consultant from Power out in California, but from Mexico to New Jersey and from California to Florida. Welcome, and we'll turn it over to Adrian Robledo. Adrian is the steep slope sales manager, as I mentioned, but also important to us is that Adrian formerly worked for one of our concrete tile manufacturers. So he has a strong familiarity with clay and concrete roof tile. He also is working with a product that is made to attach them. So he has a very well-rounded knowledge, a great delivery, and he's one of our champion trainers with us and has been working with us for about 7 years. So we really appreciate him here today. And Adrian, take it away and have a great day, you guys.
Thank you, John, Lisa, Rick, and the TRI members and partners for allowing myself, along with other industry trades, to speak on best practices regarding our products and what we see in the field. And thanks for everybody for joining in today and wanting to learn a little bit more about foam adhesive. As John mentioned, a little bit of background about myself. I did work for a national roof tile manufacturer. I'm now the director of sales for ICP Adhesives and Sealants, cover the US and all export markets. And I'm based out of Florida, but born and raised out of Texas. So travel across the country, get to see various concrete and clay roof tile projects and help the industry kind of learn a little bit more about the benefits of adhesive. So I'd like to begin a little bit about how adhesive evolved and how it came about in the markets. For those of you on the call that are local to Florida, you might remember Hurricane Andrew back in August of '92. It came through the southern part of Florida, the Keys, Homestead, Miami area. And prior to that, in the late 80s, that's when we started to see concrete and clay tile emerging in the markets. Homeowners, architects, builders, they liked the look of the tile. And Andrew was the first test to really expose how the tile was installed. So after Andrew came, a lot of those systems back in the days were installed with what the industry refers to as a mud set system, which is a mortar cement-based patty underneath the tiles. And you know, the industry saw the destruction, and they were looking for a better way to attach these concrete and clay roof tiles. So that's how the product emerged. And even though its first initial introduction was through the high winds that Florida experiences, a lot of the adhesive manufacturers are starting to see growth in all regions, not only for the high wind uplift values, but for the proven performance that adhesive has, as well as the labor savings that you get with the speed and the portability of the products. I'm going to show a quick little video here. This is a simulation video on adhesive versus mechanical fasteners. The picture you see on the left, that tile is installed with what the industry refers to as a large patty, which I'll get into in the presentation a little bit later. And on the right, you see a clay tile installed with 2 screws. So let me play this video for you, and I'll speak to what it demonstrates after. So as you saw in the video, the picture on the left, each of those individual tiles are adhered with a Paddy underneath those tiles. What that means is later on down the road, if somebody were to walk on that tile, whether it's a pressure washing company cleaning the mold or the mildew off, or somebody doing some roof maintenance on that roof, all those surrounding tiles act as an individual system because they still have that Paddy underneath, versus if they were installed with mechanical fasteners. If you get a couple pieces broken, you're going to create that piano, that zipper effect that you get with these window vents. So it's important to understand that each tile acts as an individual system when it has that Paddy underneath. So after Hurricane Harvey in Rockport, Texas, those top two photos were taken from Rockport. We went out there and we took a look at the destruction that these hurricanes caused. And again, if you recall, Hurricane Harvey hit Rockport at a Category 4 back in August of 2017. How those tiles were installed was with one nail over a batten, over a 30-pound felt system. On the right photo there, that blue glaze tile, for those of you that have installed a blue glaze tile before, it's a beautiful product. It's very expensive, but what the contractor and really the homeowner failed to understand there is it's not about the aesthetic look, especially if you're in a wind-prone area. The most important thing is how the tile is attached. Those bottom two photos that you see, those were taken from Hurricane Irma in Marco Island, Naples area, Florida. You can see the trim, which we refer to as the hip and the ridge tile there, kind of being airborne. You see it removed from that mud of adhesive, kind of rolled over into the field tile, kind of creating those sporadic breakage that you see there. And on the bottom right, those are actually mortared patties, cement patties that were installed underneath that roof. You can kind of see the date there on that picture taken 10/31/2017. We have several projects around these areas where these hurricanes occurred that have a 2-Paddy warranted system underneath there. So we know that the product works. It's proven. Those top two photos are right next to the previous slides, next to the Rockport area and next to the Marco Island Hurricane Irma area. Those bottom two photos there are taken from Puerto Rico. If you guys recall, Puerto Rico was hit with two major hurricanes, Maria and Irma. And again, those projects there were done about 15 years ago. I personally went out there, took a look at the projects and saw very minor damage with the 2-Paddy system. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the difference of foam. There's what we refer to as a single component foam and a 2-component foam system. Pretty much the single component foam system, you have two chemicals. You have the isocyanate and the polyol. Both of those chemicals are combined into one 23-pound kit, and once the adhesive is dispensed from that gun nozzle, it's moisture cured. On the right side, that's a 2-component product. Those two chemicals, the isocyanate and the polyol, are kept separate. Once the chemicals combine, that's when the reaction begins during the mixture. On the single component kits, these are great for quick, easy tile repair work. They're fast, they're portable. You can have multiple guys working on different sections of the roof. Maybe some guys working on the hip and ridge, another guy working on the bottom eaves. Again, they weigh 23 pounds each. They come with a 7-foot gun hose assembly and 2 mixing nozzles. For those of you that install a lot of cut pieces on your valleys or your hips, these are great for installing those. It's very difficult to install it with a mechanical fastener. And they also come in aerosol sizes, 24 ounces, which can yield you about 31 pieces of tile. The 23-pound tanks can yield about 4 to 5 roofing squares. The reason why I say 4 to 5 is because it depends on the tile profile. Different tile profiles require a little bit more adhesive than others. This is a picture of the single component being applied to various profiles of tile. On the left, that's the medium profile tile. You can see the beads of adhesive going on the overlap of the tile, 3 inches where the tiles overlap, and then 1 bead of adhesive going directly on that underlayment. On that middle picture, that is a flat, low profile tile, 2 beads of adhesive as well. And on the right picture, that's the high barrel tile, and you can see that that does require a little bit more adhesive underneath those tiles. The single component product is great for tile repairs. For those of you that do, you have a tile repair maintenance program, I'm sure you found some difficulties sometimes removing that debris tile, trying to get that screw or that nail out before you insert your new tile. If it was set with adhesive, you can shear off the adhesive. It's meant to shear off and not pull off, but it makes for great, easier tile repairs. Now we'll get into the 2-component product. Again, this is the A and the B that are kept separate, and once they mix, that's when that reaction begins. On the 2-component product, you have various sizes. You have the small portable ProPack sizes. The small one that you see up in that picture, that will yield about 2 to 4 squares. That bigger box, the A and the B there, that will yield between 8 and 14 squares. And if you've been to the Tri-County, South Florida area, you might see these refill tanks. The smaller ones, the 17 gallons, will yield about 35 to 40 squares, and the bigger ones will yield about 100 to 120 squares. These guys that do multiple tile work day in and day out, they might, go towards the bigger tanks. That way, there's more yield out of them. But if you have a project and it's a project that you don't do a lot of tile and you have the need for the smaller ones, we try to size the customer up with the size of job that they're doing. And I have a quick little video on a 2-component product being applied to some field tile here. So you can see from that video how quickly these installers are putting down that tile. If you have a really good crew and they're well experienced in the 2-component product, they can easily put down between 20 and 30 squares a day. Usually you'll have 3 guys on the roof, one laying the tile, one shooting the adhesive, and the other guy holding the hose there. But they can get it done pretty quickly versus, if they were having to get any nails or screws on that tile. Here's some pictures of different profiles of tile being attached with adhesive there. On the top left there, that's a high profile tile, and on the top right, that's the flat tile there. Now you see the 2 dispensers. On the left, you see a metal gun, and on the right, you see a plastic gun. That's just a preference of the installer. For the 2-component, they have an option, whether they choose a metal gun or the plastic gun. For the metal gun, it's durable, it can last long, but you have to have a good maintenance crew to maintain the parts that are associated with that. If it's a job that you're doing adhesive and you're not going to do a job for a couple months, you might gravitate more towards the plastic gun hose assembly. And as soon as you're done with that, you throw it away and you can attach a new plastic gun hose assembly for your next job. On that bottom left corner picture there, you can see that metal hip and ridge member there. Usually you can go straight across that top hip and ridge with adhesive and then set your cap trim tile on top of that. So 3 primary benefits to adhesive. The first is the stronger tile support system. For those of you that have walked on roofs before and seen the difference between a mechanical fasten system and an adhesive set system, you've probably seen the difference as far as breakage. Usually when you tend to walk on that center piece of the tile, if you don't have anything to support it underneath, it does add to some damage there. And this is what it looks like underneath a piece of tile. So you can see how it acts like a cushion, like a pillow under there. So if you were to step on that middle section there, which we don't recommend, you would definitely see the difference as far as damage. We're getting a lot of calls now from contractors that are diverse in offering solar systems as well. They're looking to put adhesive underneath the walk path areas of the solar mount system, and also some contractors that offer a pressure cleaning service to their clients. At 4,500 PSI, when you're pressure washing these tiles, they tend to create some movement, some tile lift, and some damage. So if you have a two-component tile system underneath each and every one of those tiles, they're less likely to have that damage associated with it. The most important part to using a two-component adhesive system is the contact area that it's making with that tile. On the left picture there, you see what we refer to as a large Paddy system. We tend to give a visual to the installer during the trainings of shooting a 2x10, 2 inches in width, 10 inches in length Paddy, and that would give them the proper contact area for a large Paddy system. On the right, that's a medium Paddy system, which is a 2x7, and if they're shooting either or, that adhesive is going to grow 3 times the size of the actual shot, and that's going to give them that proper contact that they need to meet. The adhesive manufacturers, you can go into their installation instructions, and it tells you exactly where to place these patties, how to shoot them, and the contact area that's important for each different profile. For your hip and ridge, there's different options for attaching trim tile to hip and ridge. You can put that bead of adhesive right over that wood or that metal member and then attach the trim tile, or you can individually turn the trim pieces over and put your bead of adhesive on the bottom side and then attach your trim tiles. If you're doing an interdependent placement system, you could put one mechanical fastener on that wood, a 2.5 inch screw, and your 1x6 bead of adhesive on the overlap. So 2 different options for hip and ridge attachments. So the second primary benefit to adhesive is the secure tile attachment. Just like that video showed, any tile profile, whether it's the flat, the medium, or the high, if you have a large Paddy underneath each and every one of those tiles, it's going to withstand Category 5 hurricanes. For those of you, especially on the West Coast, the California markets, this was a demonstration done by one of our manufacturer suppliers regarding earthquake and seismic testing. So I want to play this for you really quick so you can kind of see the results there. And that's a shaker table test. The left obviously has the tie wire systems, which are a pretty popular installation method out west, and then the right has the large Paddy underneath, and it maxed out that seismic test table there. And the third primary benefit to adhesive is the 0 penetrations on that roof deck. They say on an average 50 square roof with just one mechanical fastener, you're penetrating that roof deck 4,400 times. As we know, depending on where the job is located, codes have changed. Sometimes you might require 2 mechanical fasteners, and that's just going to double the amount of penetrations going through that deck. For those of you that have seen the underside on the attic of what that looks like, see how those mechanical fasteners going through that deck. And once you start to get some movement, some shifting, that abrasion is only going to get larger, and once it rains, water has to divert itself somewhere, and it's usually going to go through those larger abrasions. There are adhesive set warranties for a 2-component system. There's a 5-year warranty, product warranty for a medium Paddy system, 20-year warranty for a large Paddy system, and there is an NDL warranty of 20 years for an adhesive set warranted system. The 5-year and the 20-year product warranty, those are free of charge. The 20-year warranty, there's a small charge associated with that because an inspection on that roof will be required. So once you begin to get into adhesive, the most important thing also is getting your installers trained and qualified from your adhesive manufacturer. This is definitely code from the manufacturers. It's listed on their NOAs that everybody must have a qualified applicator card. Depending on where your job's located, a lot of building officials, inspectors require this card to be current. They do expire, and that's so the adhesive manufacturers can update their installers on new codes, new requirements, just like we're going through today with this new ASC 716 changes. Again, get with the adhesive manufacturers, and they usually go out to the job sites, train your guys on whatever product that you're using, and get your guys up to speed on the proper installation methods on whether it's a single component or a 2-component product. It's also important to make sure that the adhesive manufacturers are listed in the areas that you are working. Make sure that they have the correct code body approvals. And also, depending on where the job is located, you might need to look at the tile manufacturers' NOAs to make sure that that adhesive manufacturer is listed as well as a component to be used with the tile. So to sum up adhesive, some of the key points to keep in mind, again, were those 3 that I highlighted: the 0 penetrations, the higher wind uplift, and the added tile support that you get from adhesive. Makes for great, easy tile repairs. It's very difficult to do some repairs and remove those mechanical fasteners. We're also seeing a lot of homeowners, HOA communities, consultants, engineer now researching a little bit more due to these recent wind activities that we've experienced these last couple of years. So for those of you that meet with homeowners and they have questions on it, there's different YouTube videos that you can show your customers on adhesive and what the benefits are. Again, once your crew is well trained and well versed on the product, you can start to see some labor savings as far as speed and efficiency, and get a lot more squares done per day. And most importantly, you can provide your customer with a proven tile installation system. And there's no warranty currently on any mechanical fastener system as there is with adhesive. For those of you that offer warranties to your clients, you're less likely to get callbacks or claims from mechanical fastener roof damage. And it's a way to separate yourself from the competitions and add value to your customers. And again, with these new code changes that we're experiencing today, in some municipalities, adhesive is a requirement just because of that wind uplift value that it provides. And that concludes my presentation. John, I'll turn it back over to you and see if there's any questions that the audience has.
Thank you, Adrian. And I have opened up the mics for everyone. You'll have to individually unmute, but you can either raise your hand or unmute your mic, and I'll be monitoring that to see if anybody has any questions. I'll also point out all of our contact information is available here on the screen now. You're welcome to take a screenshot of that. For everybody at TRI, we can also find that information on our website. And I'm not seeing any questions just yet. Oh, so let me try that again. And Adrian mentioned the new wind tables, ASCE 716. On the TRI website, you can see a link to our YouTube channel, and we have added quite a few videos with the help from our technical reps from the manufacturers on the new changes both to the Florida 6th edition manual and then also what that means as far as wind calculations. We just added one yesterday for the high velocity hurricane zone, which is Miami-Dade and Broward counties. So there's a lot of information out there, a lot of examples of how you go through those calculations. So that's a resource for you as well. And this recording will be available probably tomorrow on the website also. So I'm still not seeing any questions. Wade says, thank you, Adrian.
Oh, thanks, Wade. Thanks for joining in.
Yeah, and also as a point of fact, Wade wanted everybody to know that he's a UC Berkeley engineering grad as well, so chemical engineering. So there's a future in roofing for UC Berkeley grads. So we have Susan Stark, if you want to unmute your mic, go ahead and ask a question.
Hey, thanks, Adrian, Lisa, John. I'm Sue Stark from Iron Ridge. We make solar roof attachments, and one of the problems we have in Florida is being able to remove those tiles. And you mentioned somewhere in the middle of your presentation that shearing the foam rather than pulling up on it was important. Can you give a little more detail on how to remove a tile and maybe even remove it whole?
Yes, that's a great question. You're in the solar industry. We're actually seeing a lot of solar calls recently as well. There's a lot of products now that use adhesive to install the foots for solar attachments, and it's growing. But to answer your question, yes. So when you're shearing off the adhesive, you can get a trowel. If the adhesive patty is attached to the substrate, the underlayment, you get a trowel. You kind of like you're shaving it off. Sometimes you can actually even, depending on the area that you're working on, I've seen some contractors when they're doing re-roofs in Florida, just literally will kick it with their foot and it'll usually slide right off. So adhesive is meant to shear off for that purpose when they're doing repairs or re-roofs. But if you try to pull it off, lifting up, it won't come off. So usually you get a trowel and get underneath it. You can get a hammer, hit that trowel, and it'll shear right off.
My question was actually related to removing the tile and being able to replace that tile.
Sure. Yeah, so for a tile repair, what they normally do now is they'll break the tile. They'll get all the concrete broken pieces out. They'll look at that underlayment. One of the important things also for adhesive is you want to make sure that you're attaching it to a compatible underlayment. And again, the adhesive manufacturers can give you a list of those underlayments that they've tested with. But you make sure that that underlayment is clear from any debris. If it was attached with a screw or nail, you want to put your mastic over that penetration. Again, make sure it's clean, and then you apply your either the single component bead of adhesive on the overlap of the tile, and then on the underlayment, or a a straight patty on that underlayment. But you want to clean that debris from that underlayment and make sure there's no penetrations on that deck.
Thanks. So I think my answer is that you have to break the tile out. There's no way to remove a tile nicely.
Yeah, no, you have to break it, and usually your next tile, you'll just kind of shimmy it in there in the grooves there, and it'll usually slide right in.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
Okay, Victor, I think you had your hand up for a question. Do you want to ask your question? I think, Victor, you're going to have to unmute yourself. I can't seem to unmute you.
I think we're doing it at the same time.
Yeah, I got you.
You guys hear me?
Yep.
All right, thank you. Hey, Adrian. Hey, Lisa. Hey, John. My question was specifically for the western part of the nation. with adhesive, whether single component or two component, how much does the climate play a factor during the application? Because I know there's some regions that have high elevations where cold becomes a factor in slowing down the curing process. Could you give a little explanation on some ways contractors that have overcome those struggles with the climates affecting the installation, whether in cold climates or hot climates?
Hey, Victor, yeah, that's a great question. And that's one of the most important things as well when you're installing adhesives. It's the temperature of the chemical. The temperature range of the chemicals have to be under usually between 70 and 90 degrees. So let's just say that you're working in Colorado and it's 40 degrees out there. What a lot of contractors will do is they'll keep those kits in whether it's a heat blanket or some type of enclosed area where it's between that 70 and 90 degrees. And then once they get ready to go to work, they'll use that one kit, then come back down, get that next kit. But you never want to leave that kit exposed to these weather elements that aren't in between that 70 and 90 degree range, because it will affect the chemical. And on the flip side, if you're working down in Florida and it's 90 degrees outside, but then once you go rooftop, it's 120, 130, and those kits are on top of that roof just laid. You want to make sure that they're well insulated. We've seen some contractors put ISO boards around the kits. Some kind of make their own little makeshift box just to keep that temperature between that range, because it's very important. If not, you will have uncalibrated foam.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Adrian.
No problem, Victor. And real quick, Sue, back to your question. You don't have to break the tile if you can somehow shimmy it out. But what we found is sometimes when it's screwed or nailed, that's where it's very difficult not to damage that tile, where you will have to break it and put a new piece.
Yeah, we found that generally if it was nailed or screwed, there's a bunch of methods to get that nail or screw out. But when it's foamed in, it tends to want to be broken.
Thank you. Correct.
So Wade had a couple comments. Wade, if you want to unmute yourself, you want to offer your suggestion and comment? Wade? I think you're unmuted now. Oh, okay, so he doesn't have a mic that's working with the webinar. So one of his suggestions, and I was thinking the same thing, Adrian, is it would be nice to have a short video of just how to pop a tile to replace it. And then he also noted, making sure, as you talked about, that the underlayment is intact and that you haven't affected the attachment of the underlayment to the deck in that process.
Correct. Yes, correct.
So is that a video that you think you could make, or somebody at ICP could make?
Yeah, no, I think it's very important, because we do get a lot of the questions on how to do a quick repair. I've seen some videos currently on YouTube from contractors, but I think we can definitely put something together. Yeah,
and you guys can share it, and we'll share it too. Wade also had a comment about one time, even in Florida, you have to be careful with the temperature, because they had to warm the adhesive in the pickup truck with the heater on full blast on a cold January day in Tampa. So it can happen in Florida too.
Yes.
All right, I'm not seeing any other questions. So if anybody else wants to raise their hand before we close, we will go ahead. Do you have any comments, John? So I think that is it. We will get the recording up tomorrow. And if you have any questions, you have our contact information. You have Adrian's contact information as well. And Adrian, thank you again for helping us with this webinar. And I hope everybody has a great rest of their afternoon.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Have a good afternoon as well.